visto! Un assaltatore!
Is the Muromets Heavy Bomber broken? Lots of videos have been made over the past few weeks looking at this new strategic bomber package which has come to light since players such as JatFrags made videos on them and now everybody is using it. You've probably experienced this if you've played Operations or Conquest over the past few weeks, and it might be that you're one of the people that use this heavy bomber and think it's pretty awesome. For the rest of us though that are on the ground, I can say from personal experience that this heavy bomber is a blight on the game, and it can really take the fun out of a game mode such as Operations. In this video I'm going to show you some gameplay in the background of me using it. I haven't used it a whole lot, and I tried to stay away from some of the more effective tactics like orbiting. That is where you fly really high out of the range of AA guns and such, and I'll get onto that in a bit. And I'm also going to go through why I think this is overpowered and how I think DICE should balance it, because it certainly does need balancing, that's for sure. So starting off, in order to achieve these massive multi-kills, what you need to do is take the heavy bomber. It's the Muromets bomber, the one that came with the In the Name of the Tsar DLC. This heavy bomber has 3 separate variants. You need to choose the strategic heavy bomber, and this one gives you 3 special abilities. You get a cannon that can be aimed and fired at the ground, similar to what a gunner would have in an attack helicopter. You then have the big payload, the bombs that cause all of these multi-kills. Super effective and really easy to drop, mega accurate and massive splash damage. You also have a camera that will spot anyone within a certain radius. Awesome stuff, you can get everybody spotted before you end them with your bombs. In addition to that, you can have a forward-facing gunner, very effective for taking out planes that are flying towards you and slightly to the side. You then have someone who can sit in the back and repair, not as effective as it used to be, but you can still repair the vehicle pretty efficiently using this method. And then in addition to that, you have a dude sitting on the back or the tail of the plane. Not many people realise this, but it's actually mega effective at taking out infantry. So once you've done your bombing run, you pull up vertically, and then the gunner on the back can absolutely destroy anybody that's been revived, meaning you will be in for massive assist points, and of course if you're the gunner, loads and loads of additional kills. This makes this bomber one of the strongest vehicles in the game in terms of pure firepower. The thing is absolutely insane, and if you watch any videos from some of the more proficient Battlefield pilots, such as Nickerman, and I've linked a video of his down in the description, you can just see what damage you can do. And I know that before this bomber came out, people were using the original bomber and were still going on big kill streaks, and that can be seen again with this heavy bomber, and it is the same inherent problem. Now in my opinion, there are 3 problems with this heavy bomber, and all 3 of them need to be addressed. Firstly, Operations is not a very good mode to have a vehicle on that can kill a cluster of enemies, because the game mode tends to have clusters of enemies, and it's almost like you can have an airstrike at any point in the game removing a large enemy presence. That's not really very fair, but in saying that, I have included some clips from Conquest, and you can see that you can be effective on that mode too, so that's not the biggest problem in my opinion. The biggest problem comes from the fact that the bomber has way too much firepower. You cannot have a bomber that can do that much damage. Maybe if you were aiming and hitting your shots and taking out enemies, similar to how the gunner would have to aim, that's fine. But having a payload that you can just drop and kill so many people is not good at all. They need to reduce that splash radius and maybe even reduce the amount of bombs that you have. It would be nice if that was halved at least. Now, one of the biggest problems with this, and I think it really makes the problem a lot worse, is the fact that you can fly this bomber really high to the flight ceiling, and that's what's called orbiting. We saw it in Battlefield 3 a lot with the attack helicopters, where pilots would fly as high as possible and the gunners would then farm up infantry all game. It's like having an AC-130 in the sky, but there's not much you can do about it. Now of course you could take a fighter, and fighters are mega effective against bombers, and then just take the bomber down and the problem's gone, and I do get that argument. But the argument that you can sit on the floor and shoot at it with LMGs and AA guns, I mean, that only works if the pilot's not that good, and as you can see from my gameplay, the plane is easy to take down, and I'm flying low, and of course I get taken down. But if I went up to the flight ceiling, like a lot of players do, no one can touch me, and the only problem I've got are fighter pilots. And the thing is, with a fighter pilot, you might want to take one and take the bomber down, but you can't, because everyone on your team's using the bomber too, and it makes the situation really toxic. What I would suggest in this situation is allowing the bomber to orbit if it wants to, that's perfectly fine, but have it so the bombs that it drops are not able to be dropped accurately from that height, because at the minute you can go as high as you want and accurately drop the bombs on any location on the map, and it is like a laser beam. You don't miss, and it's just really, really way too effective. Another additional point with this bomber when people say that it's not that OP, why don't people take the other two variants in this bomber? Well, it's because the variant, the strategic bomber variant, is so damn powerful, and that's the way to tell whether a variant is OP or not in this game. If you are taking a tank, for example, let's focus on the light tank because that's something I know quite well. There are three variants, the howitzer, the flanker, and the support tank. Now the howitzer and flanker are shared. I'm pretty happy to take a howitzer because it's good against vehicles, or a flanker because it's good against infantry. You can take either one and be quite comfortable. The light support tank though is not that good, but that's okay because two of the three are pretty well balanced and the third is the one you start out with and then that teaches you the ropes. So that is a well balanced vehicle in my opinion. When looking at the bomber, you have three variants again, but no one ever uses the other two, they only go for the strategic heavy bomber, and that just says it all about the balance right there. Now maybe I'm just complaining for the sake of complaining, maybe no one else has experienced this problem on Operations, but I would say that Operations is a game mode I really want to enjoy, and one of the main things holding it back, apart from the map design which is shaky in a few places, is definitely the spam. The mode is awesome, the fact that you've got action all the time, the fact you have a front line that you're trying to push against, objectives you have to run between, and a real fight to get those objectives capped before you move on to the next section is really, really cool. The problem though is that things like this Muromets bomber that require very, very little skill can destroy all the fun in the game. It's almost like having a second behemoth, and we all hate the behemoth when it fires down and shoots you when you have no cover. I get the point of them, they're to turn the tides and give you an advantage, and I'm all for that, but having something that is very, very difficult to counter and something that just a low skill player can destroy you without any effort at all is very, very frustrating, and in my opinion is not something I want in the game. Do you have any ideas on how DICE should balance this? I really do think they're going to have to do something about it, and they probably will. As you can tell with the CTE, they are updating certain things. They updated Volga River the other day. Maybe this is something they can tweak, because in fact it was buffed in a previous patch, and it's only recently people have realised that it was buffed so effectively. They'll probably roll it back and go closer to what they had before, but I don't know. Let's see, it's DICE. We never know what they're going to do. If you did enjoy this video, leave a like down below. I'm not trying to hate on this thing, I'm just hoping it gets balanced so I can get back to enjoying Operations, as I really do want to before the new game comes out. Thanks for watching guys, and I'll catch you in the next video.